Welcome back to the Crypto Report, everybody. I am Crypto Kip. Today, we're going to talk about Gary Gensler battling cryptocurrencies, of course, but yesterday, battling Congress on not only crypto, but all of his actions he's taken as the head of the SEC. Today, we're going to look at some of these specific questions that some congressmen and women we're actually asking to Gary Gensler that really had him stumped and showed you the truth behind where his stance really is. It seems to be biased. It seems to be strictly on the attack towards crypto, potentially protecting some other players in the market, which is of grave concern. And we also got to look at the past of Gary and see what we've glazed over with this man when it comes to his right to govern as the head of the SEC, and whether or not he deserves to keep his job. Guys, if you like this kind of content, tap that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into this video. Now, Gary Gensler, guys, has clearly taken some lawsuits against this crypto industry, and you need to know that. And yesterday, when he went on to this hearing and he discussed some of these lawsuits, it was very, very interesting. Let's take a peek at this, guys. So Gary Gensler was testifying before Congress and facing an increasing amount of lawsuits over his many rule changes. Not only has he been suing folks, but companies have had to sue him as well. The truth is, guys, is that, look at this quote right here. Unfortunately, the SEC's position appears to be driven by politics and headlines rather than facts and law. Therefore, under these circumstances, we look forward to vigorously defending ourselves in court against these meritless allegations while maintaining our focus on serving clients and markets globally and creating long-term value for our shareholders. That is the CEO, Doug Sifu of Virtue. And there are so many other firms that have really taken a strong stance against him and gone to court with Gary Gensler to defend themselves. The industry, brokers and exchanges alike, are left with the only remaining tool at their disposal, the tool of last resort, litigation against the commission. Well, fortunately, Gensler is also getting grilled in this Congress hearing, and we need to take a look at some of the specifics on it. Gensler said Bitcoin is not a security, but maybe Pokemon cards are? What's the specifics on here? Let's get into it. Well, Gary Gensler was grilled for about 5 hours on Wednesday, and I highly recommend you guys watch the full tape of Gary Gensler just getting completely trashed by these members of Congress. And it's from both sides of the aisle, guys. It seems to be more of an attack from the people on the right. However, Democrats as well have been attacking Gary Gensler, specifically Senator Elizabeth Warren. But let's look at some specifics here. It is clear that you're working to consolidate your own power, he says to Gary Gensler, even though it means crushing opportunities for everyday Americans and, frankly, the financial future of this country, says Republican Tom Emmer of Minnesota. This is him talking to Gary Gensler. Even the federal courts are highlighting the damage you, sir, are doing to the constituents, and they're telling you that you don't have legal authority to accomplish your goal of squashing competition in the financial markets. Now, if it's actually proven in court that he is strategically trying to squash the competition for banks and other players that are really the competition to cryptocurrency, that is going to be a huge problem for him in the court of law. And it really is. I mean, guys, if you're in cryptocurrency, you can see clearly, specifically for like XRP holders, the SEC battled Ripple in court recently, and because of that, Ripple didn't have a chance of going to all-time highs last bull cycle because of that lawsuit. That is really what he's doing here. Let's look at some other pieces here that he said. Specifically, this Republican says, I do not go to MIT, but in the Bronx, if I ask whether an investment contract includes a contract, the answer is typically yes or no. Because Gary Gensler, what does he do? If you look at the tapes, he just comes out and he says, well, I would have to know more and this and that. And well, technically back in 1944, and then he goes with some roundabout answer that doesn't truly give a yes or no answer because he's giving political answers. He's giving a politician's answer because he's essentially a politician lobbying for people that are probably lining his pockets. I think Sam Bankman-Fried was one of those people, and I think that other players in the market that are anti-crypto are also probably lining his pockets as well. Here's another specific example that Mr. Torres asked during this hearing. If I were to purchase a tokenized Pokemon card on a digital exchange via a blockchain, is that a security transaction? Gary Gensler answers, I'd have to know more. Why? Isn't there a written law here that he can determine it? What does he want to know? And then he comes back and he questions, so is anything interacting with the internet and interacting with technology, then is that automatically deemed as security? Because we really don't understand what Gary Gensler is defending here. He doesn't have a hardline stance on anything right now, except for that he thinks that crypto is filled with hucksters and fraud. And there is some fraud in crypto, guys, but there's also some fraud going on behind the scenes. We know that FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried defrauded customers out of money, but we also know some other specifics here. Looking at this New York Post article from back in the day, let's look at some of this. The fact that the SEC appears unwilling to show all the documentation associated with the vetting of this meeting, and he's talking about a very long meeting with Sam Bankman-Fried back previously before the FTX collapse, which we don't have the transcripts to, we don't have anything, we don't have all the documentation. He's unwilling to share this documentation. Associated with the vetting of this meeting should raise enormous red flags for investigators. Absolutely. The fact that we don't know what they were talking about is a huge concern. We should know the meetings that Gary Gensler's having. It's not like these are top secret, highly classified meetings. This is public. This is a public office. This is public information. We should know this information. And the fact that he is not disclosing this to the public is a huge problem. Like this congressional hearing was accusing him of not being forthcoming with constituents. These type of special access meetings are where some of the worst abuses in Washington happen, and the American people need to know what happened leading up to this meeting. We do need to know this information, and we currently do not know. In the meantime, there's other information coming out about Sam Bankman-Fried, sympathy articles that are coming out. Besides this, I mean, you should know if he gets sentenced, he's going to get convicted and a sentence for a very, very long time. But then you have these softball articles that say SBF on trial, the man blamed for crypto collapse is about to get his day in court. He needs his day in court. Justice for Sam Bankman-Fried. He needs justice, all right. But like this judge says, he probably needs to go to jail for a very long time. Not to mention Gary Gensler needs to be interrogated on what his meetings were with FTX before this collapse. But look at some of the language used in this. Nowadays, his lawyer has been subsisting on peanut butter sandwiches. Alas, Sam Bankman-Fried, who's a vegan, can't eat the flesh diet, served in jail, one lawyer said. His therapist, who had also been an executive coach at FTX, wrote the court saying his therapist, who had also been an executive coach at FTX, wrote the court saying Sam Bankman-Fried had only a small amount of his medications on hand when he was jailed and needed a consistent supply of Adderall for ADHD. He needs it for ADHD and M-Som for depression. On Monday, his lawyers noted in his filing he's been only getting half a dose of Adderall, only a little bit of the drugs that he wants to take while he's in jail. You can see they're trying to soften up this approach and say he needs his day in court and say he's only getting half the amount of, they're trying to lighten it up. What we see here, guys, is a very, very problematic situation for the freedom of markets, for cryptocurrency. Why? Because we saw what happened with Sam Bankman-Fried, and we see the headlines that are going on right now with this trial for Sam Bankman-Fried. What we also see is Gary Gensler coming out onto this congressional hearing and not being able to answer transparently to some yes or no questions, going roundabout ways to avoid coming out with a hardline stance, a truth, and a true position on what's going on in Smart, because he knows he's wrong. The way that he's battling crypto, he knows that he's wrong, guys. And eventually, I think that Gary Gensler will have to step down from the head of the SEC. Right now, fortunately for him, there is a very large decision pending over the Bitcoin spot ETF and a few other things. Maybe with a new administration coming in, that can change and we can see him step down in the future. Let me know what your thoughts are on Gary Gensler, guys, in the comments on this video. If you like the content, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. And as always, guys, don't forget to DCA HODL, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. I got 2 videos for you here if you want to check them out. Peace.